plan cross countries, especially multi-day ones. So the first thing that I do is load up Windy and take a look at uh, the cloud bases since I'm flying VFR. So let's take a look at the cloud bases here. And my point of departure today is going to be from Nevada all the way back to Toronto. So I'm thinking leaving on Saturday morning. And I'm like right here. So this route here looks pretty clear. This light green colored area uh, is a really high cloud base, but if you take a look over to the west here, the purple and blues are the ones that we kind of want to avoid. So I'll use Windy's tool, distance and planning tool. And I know I want to go over the Grand Canyon, so let's just go over here. That's the Grand Canyon up there. And try to ride this high out all the way as far east as I possibly can. So let's go up here. So at the bottom, I'm just going to make sure I have my speed set properly. So I'm going to go 160 knots. And ignore this for now. So on the bottom here, it says I have a 7 a.m. departure, and according to the time, the speed that I put in 160 knots, I would finish 4 hours later. So what I can do is with the cloud layer, I can kind of see as I drag my mouse across from the start to the finish of the route, I can see what kind of potential precipitation or clouds that I'm going to hit at that time. Let me zoom out a bit here. So, oops, this runs Sunday. Let's go back to Saturday. Yeah, so that looks good. Perfect. So that could be leg one, and then if I want, I can even go further. Let's go. That's a little bit too far north. Let's go over here, and then to Toronto. So if I was to do this all in one day, this is essentially what the weather would look like along my route. And you can see how when he updates the layers as you drag across your route. But that's definitely too long for a 1 day trip. So I'm going to cut this in half probably here. So point number 4, that is at 1 o'clock local time, but at an hour, maybe an hour and a half, because I'm going to stop for fuel at point 3. So that I think is a pretty good first day. Let's take a look at the upper winds, see if I take advantage of that. So I select the wind layer and then scroll this all the way up to 10,000 feet. And it looks pretty good. I'm taking advantage of the tailwinds definitely along this route. So this is the first day up to point number 4. And if I take a look at the VFR chart here, you can see it shows you the elevation as well as the cloud tops and bases along the route, the freezing altitude, and of course the winds. So this looks all good up into point 4. So that's my day 1 figured out. So if I want to move this over to day 2, so let's say I want day 2 to start at 7 a.m. What I'll do is I'll scroll this over to Saturday or Sunday, and I'll wait until point 4 starts at 7. So this says 9, so let's just move it back a couple hours. 8 o'clock, that's good enough. So from this point on, I can drag along, and this is day 2 or Sunday, and I can kind of see what kind of weather I'm going to encounter along the route. And this also looks pretty good too. Let's just double check precipitation. Yeah, so I'm trying to beat this system here. And it looks like I will. And let's take a look at those winds again just to make sure. Oh yeah. So I'll have a fuel stop at 0.5, and then it looks like I'll get there for around 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock local time, so that works out as well too. So this general routing looks good for me, so I'm going to then go into ForeFlight and do a more specific route for each leg, the one that I can file with ATC. So obviously make sure that you have your departure time and date set appropriately, and of course your altitude. This is way too low. Let's do 95. Oops. And then of course, this would be the first fuel stop, and then I'll add another one for the second leg and the third leg and so on. But at least I have a general idea of what kind of weather I'm going to encounter thanks to Windy here.